Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the IKoK, the International Coalition of Krones Chat. We're extremely happy that you've joined us this evening. We've got some amazing work and information we want to share as we progress this evening. Let me introduce myself. I am Essence Ka. I am the founder and one of the Krones of the International Coalition of Krones. And I would like to take this time now to ask the other Krones to introduce herself. Kobaha, would you like to go first?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kobaha. I live in northern Arizona near Sedona. I'm an intuitive spiritual facilitator and crystal therapist, and I'm hoping to help others, especially during these unprecedented times, to navigate through some challenging phase at the moment. So I'm feeling blessed and honored to be here tonight, and very excited actually about tonight's work. Thank you for joining us. Over to you, Auri'An.
Hi everybody, I'm Auri'An and I live in the far north of Queensland. My joy in life is to help others who are doing it tough, and I'm a qualified holistic counsellor, meditation therapist and teacher, Reiki practitioner, EFT master practitioner, and I just love talking to people and helping them as they're starting out on their spiritual journey. Helping them to find their joy in life and helping to help people heal themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Wow. Exciting to be here this evening in this work. As everyone is aware, I'm sure you realize that the main work this evening is we are going to be doing work together in the initial activation of what is known as the Emerald Core. We're going to share some information first, explaining what the Emerald Core is, what it's all about, and then just some information to hopefully, like the other two Krones have stated, to be of assistance to others. That is our joy. That is what drives us as the Krones of the IKoK. So to begin this evening, we want to, or this afternoon or morning, whatever the case may be where you live, I say evening because that's what it is where I'm at. We want to begin like we always do each chat by just taking a few moments to come together, to center ourselves and to connect energetically to create a sacred space within which to work, to do this sacred work this evening, today. As we do that, I would like for you, each and every one of you, to please, whether you are here now with us live or whether you will be joining us in what we call no time, no space and watching this in its recorded version, I'd like for you to take a few moments to close your eyes, relax and center yourself and bring yourself to center as we connect energetically. As we do that, I'm going to read the 3 Metatronic numerology I am keyword phrases of the frequencies that we call the heart of the IKoK, the 4 cornerstones work of the IKoK, and the star seed I am frequency. The first frequency is the heart of the IKoK. It is the 2266. Take a deep breath and simply listen to the words and allow them to carry the frequency across and through your form as we connect. I am the master of divine balance. Through the remembrance of the singing of the sacred cosmic song of self, I ignite creation of new realities. I am that which rebalances and heals. The next one is what we call the 4 cornerstones of the work of the IKoK, and it is the 2277 dual frequency. I am the form of the sacred structure of collective reality known through the awakened divine rational mind. I build reality upon the foundation whose cornerstones are honor, integrity, responsibility, and expansion of sacred perspective. I am the master builder of collective galactic realities. And the last one, the 655 dual frequency, the star seed, I am frequency. I am that which is aware of the responsibility of clearly hearing the voice of love. I am responsible for anchoring love's message of rebalancing within the collective field of humanity. I am starseed. Thank you. Okay, where do we want to begin this evening? Like I said, we're going to share some information. First and foremost, I think I will just start with this bit of information. And I apologize, I'm reading my notes here. So that is why I'm looking down and not at you all the time. So what is the Emerald Core? Let's just start there. The Emerald Core is the next energetic core of Earth beyond the crystalline core. I think most everyone's probably very familiar with the crystalline core by this time. If you've been on this journey for even a short time, you've probably heard at least about the crystalline core. So what is the purpose of the Emerald Core? Its purpose is to assist. Now, remember, what I'm sharing here is very basic information because there is so much information that I could share. But we have just a set period of time, and we don't want to, because I could share information from now till the end of time, I think. But so I'm giving you just basic information so that you can understand what we're doing here. Okay, better. Its purpose is to assist Earth, the individualized consciousness known to humanity as Gaia, in raising her frequency to a more expanded consciousness, frequency, and form. Because we, humanity, are an intricately, sorry, my mouth doesn't want to work this evening, woven part of Earth's consciousness, we too benefit from working with the Emerald Core. Now that's, like I said, that's just very basic information, but I think it gives you an idea and an overview of what the purpose of. Okay. I'm going to share this bit. We have come together here at this time, each of us bringing a specific energy, our personal sacred work, our knowledge, our information, our piece of the puzzle, to assist with the initial activation of the Emerald Core. This initial activation is the starting up or the coming online, if you will, of the Emerald Core. This is like hitting the start button. This is the first of 4 activations in the initial activation phase of the Emerald Core. There will be 3 other activations, one in 2022 and another in 2024, and then a 4th will be at an unyet determined date and time, but will occur sometime between the years of 2024 and 2028, possibly as late as 2030. I know humans, we like immediate gratification, but we're in this work for the long haul. Okay. I will share a lot more information about what the Emerald Core is in a bit. I'm going to share this real quick. For those of you who are new to joining us in the IKoK chat, you'll learn that I very much just follow Spirit's lead in the moment to see how the information is to be shared. And so that's why sometimes it may feel a bit disjointed. It's really not. It's just listening for Spirit's voice. I'm going to read some bits and pieces of an article that I actually wrote back in 2018 about the Emerald Core, because it was during 2018 there were 3 phases or 3 seeding, what we call seedings, seatings, seedings of the Emerald Core. All right. So on August 11th, 2018, from out of the Dragon's Gate portal, the next etheric energy core of Earth, or Gaia, was released from the ancient future Temple of the Soul, where it had been under the care and supervision of the 7 sisters of the sacred silence and 7 universal ancestors, while being prepared for its release and first seeding at Earth's core. These seedings were simply placing this etheric energy core into the center of the planet. Okay, I shared then, and if you want to read this article in full, you can go to my website and find it. It's shambhalannewearth.com, and you can actually just use the search words Emerald Core. All right, the first activation. Now remember, this is knew this in 2018 when we did that work. We knew that it would be in 2020, sometime in 2020, before we would do the initial activation of the Emerald Core. This is only the first phase of the activation process of the Emerald Core. Now remember, I said there's going to be 4 activations in the first phase, and this first phase runs from 2020 to possibly as late as 2030. Okay, but at least we know into 2024. This is only the first phase. There were several more activation phases will follow at specific points in linear time associated with humanity's consciousness expansion process as it makes its journey into higher and higher frequencies it can maintain until reaching the frequency of what is known as the Metatronic frequency reality, opening in the 7th dimension. The crystalline core, for those of you, this is a how we got here. All right, I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. The crystalline core was first mentioned by Cryon in 1999. This was 12 years after harmonic convergence, approximately 4 years before harmonic concordance, and approximately 13 years before the end of the old Mayan calendar round reality and the beginning of the new Mayan calendar round reality at the 12-21-12. The 12-21-12 was when the collective consciousness of humanity shifted out of the 3rd and 4th dimensions into the 5th dimension. Okay, the crystalline core. Now remember, this was first introduced to us in 1999, the crystalline core. It did not complete, it completed its activation and came fully online after harmonic concordance, not harmonic convergence. There is a difference. Harmonic concordance was, harmonic convergence was in 1987 and harmonic concordance was in 2003. If you may not, okay, harmonic convergence, and what's the difference between harmonic convergence and harmonic concordance? These were both worldwide meditations. Harmonic convergence in 87, it was in August of 87, was when, now remember, this is all very basically stated, it's just kind of an overview, okay, was when enough of the collective consciousness of humanity, enough of us individuals had awakened that we had reached a minimum frequency that we could hold that allowed us to say to our galactic family, we're here, we're awake, we're ready to step up, we're ready to take on more responsibility in the co-creation of our own reality. That doesn't mean just our reality of Earth. It means even beyond that, but we'll talk more about that in a bit. Okay. So that was harmonic convergence, and that was in August 16th, 17th of 1987. Then on November 8th of 2003 at Harmonic Concordance, very basically stated, Harmonic Concordance was when we made the initial decision as a collective as to what path, in other words, how we were going to step up, okay, and take on more responsibility in the co-creation of our collective reality. Then, okay, now that was, this is how we got here. Then in September of 2013, okay, humanity and etheric multidimensional beings who are directly connected to the collective consciousness of Earth, Gaia, intentionally and consciously created a group collective conscious mind. Now, this was work that Kira and I led in 2013 when we were still working together, okay? In 2013, we consciously met, okay, and intentionally and consciously created a group collective conscious mind and sent it forth into a multidimensional portal open at that time. It was dubbed the Peace Portal, to bring back into our current, excuse the noise from my papers, collective reality what was determined to be the most positive, probable future reality outcome that would be the most easily accepted and adjusted to by the collective consciousness of humanity, including the spiritually awakened and the spiritually unawakened, as we use those terms to describe, for our next steps as one in a positive forward movement of spiritual awakening and consciousness expansion. In other words, the details of the path, direction we had chosen at Harmonic Concordance. That was in 2013. I've written here in 2018, and it seems even more appropriate now. I wrote, it says, I know it is a bit hard to fathom and accept that we made the decision that has brought the world to where it exists now. But we did, as a collective, remember? And we did so because we had the best interests of the collective in mind and feel and think this is the quickest and least painful way forward as a collective. Okay. It seems kind of crazy in 2020, but, you know, all right. The purpose of the crystalline core is an etheric tool to assist the expansion of collective consciousness of humanity. Like I said, if you want to, you know, more information, because I'm going to pop on through now a little faster the rest of this. What is the difference in the crystalline core and the emerald core other than crystal and emerald? We're going to talk about that in a little bit too. Frequency, size, dimensional reality connection, and human involvement in seeding and activation. I'm going to, let's see. The frequencies of the emerald core are very different than the frequencies of the crystalline core. And to me, though, I think the biggest difference in the crystalline core and the emerald core is the crystalline core, the collective consciousness of humanity. We really played no part in creating, seeding, and activating that core. That was more our galactic family, okay? And I'll loosely use the term our higher selves, maybe, okay, doing that. In other words, that was kind of a gift given to us as humanity to help us as a collective, individually and collective, because remember, each of us as the individuals we are a part of this collective. We're what make up the collective. So if we benefit, the collective benefits. If the collective benefits, we benefit. We're one. Remember, gosh, it's really not that hard, but for some reason it's gotten really complicated in the human mind. But anyway, okay, the crystalline core, let's see. The crystalline core will continue to be the main energy tool for the collective through the first 2/3 of the fifth dimensional frequency realm that we're currently in. Now remember, it was only in 2012, at the end of 2012, that the collective consciousness of humanity shifted, as we call it, that was what is, you know, the terms we use, into the fifth dimension. All right, this is a frequency dimension. This is, and what that is it's a consciousness expansion. All right. The biggest, that's still going, the crystalline core, in other words, is still going to be the core that the vast majority of individuals kind of go to for a very long time still. But it's time to start the process of the activation and the work of the emerald core so that it is ready and can take. Now remember, because the emerald core, one of its main, and I'm going to talk more in this about this after a bit, is to assist Gaia, our planet, the consciousness of Earth, in expanding her consciousness. I think we sometimes forget. We talk about it all the time, but I think we sometimes forget, because as it comes through our human filters, our human thought process, Gaia is truly an individualized consciousness just as we are, and we are intricately woven together and a part of each other. The crystalline core, just to give a visual, this is, I think, an easy visual to kind of give you an idea. The crystalline core is surrounded by the emerald core. And what I've done is to give you a simple way of visualizing the size difference between the two. Imagine an apple situated inside of the center of a honeydew melon. The apple is the crystalline core and the honeydew melon is the emerald core. So you can see it's a much larger energy field, okay? To me, the biggest and probably most significant difference, and this is what I started to talk about a little bit ago, between the crystalline core and the emerald core, is humanity's involvement in the seeding and the activation. The crystalline core was set into place and activated by galactic family who have direct connections to humanity and Gaia. We had no conscious and intentional part in setting and activating it. With the emerald core, we are going to have to consciously and intentionally be actively involved in seeding and activating it. It is part of what is required of us now as a collective in being partially responsible for creating our own reality. This is the stepping up part, if you will. Many things we're called to do now that before we did not. You know, different ways we say it. We tend to say it kind of sort of tongue in cheek. We're not in kindergarten anymore. We've graduated. Okay. We have to step up. That's what we're being called to do. And that's what each of you knows within yourself. That's what has called you here at this time to be a part of this. In that 2018 report, and I'm going to finish with this and then turn it over to Auri'An. I wrote, we are becoming awakened, conscious, galactic, multidimensional beings in human form, incarnate on Earth, consciously co-creating realities. Not just our collective reality of Earth, but our galactic collective reality as well. We are now stepping into a level of responsibility where we must not only think about Earth and humanity, we must now begin thinking about how Earth and humanity's reality is affecting galactic realities we are connected to. This work just got a whole lot more serious. Okay? For those of you who follow my work, you know that for probably at least a year now, I've been saying 2020 is the year humanity goes galactic. This is the year, this is the point in time, the point in space and time that our descendants will look back, okay, in Earth's history, okay, humanity's history, and say, wow, 2020, that's the year it all began. It was crazy. There was so much going on, so many major decisions, points had come up, but that is the year. That is the point in time that we began the journey as humanity to travel galactically in the stars in a conscious and intentional physical way. I think no, one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and share this information. Sorry, Auri'An. I thought I was going to turn it just a couple. Yeah, I know. I'm going to go ahead and share some basic information about stones and colors, okay, for the work with the crystalline core. Then I'll share the frequencies and the last bit of information before we go into the work. Okay, this is, like I said, I'm all about the information. That is my work. Okay, that is my sacred work, to bring ancient future knowledge and information back into this collective's mind at this time. Okay, so I share a lot of information. I don't ask that you should try to remember it all or anything else. Take what you resonate with, take what assists you in your sacred work, because your sacred work is vital. Each and every one of us, each and every one of you, the sacred work that you're doing is vital to this collective right now. This is the coming together, the time of the coming together. We are putting this puzzle together to move forward. So please understand how important you are and how cherished and honored you are for the work that you do. Okay? The colors associated with the emerald core are emerald green and gold. Brilliant, they're brilliant emerald green and gold. There are stones that, you know, because stones emit frequencies and we work with them, we all understand that. There are stones, particular stones, that are associated with and can be used in this work with the emerald core. The main stone, okay, is what is known as helenite. It's also known as emerald obsidian. It's also known as Gaia stone. All right. I'm going to give you some information about it in just a minute. The main, well, you know what? Let's just go there first. How about that? The main frequency held by helenite is the 777 frequency, the 777 frequency. Auri'An, can you pull that I am keyword phrase up for me, please, ma'am? Silly me, I forgot to grab that one. I'll need this in just a moment, sorry. Okay, and you know, you would think I would have that here, and I may. Oh, I do have it. I apologize. I do have it. I'm doing better than I thought. Y'all forgive me. Okay, the 777 frequency, or the 777 frequency. I am the divine multidimensional alchemical synthesis of technology, biology, and spirit. All right. Okay, this was information that back in 2018, when we were doing the work of preparing the emerald core and seeding the emerald core at the center of the planet, that I received from my guides. Let's just say it that way, instead of naming them all out. All right. That which you humans call Gaia stone, along with emerald, are the first stones of the Metatronic. I do want it to be understood here that Metatronic, when I speak of Metatronic and Metatronic numerology and all this, I am not, there's no connection to what most people, and it's understandably so, most people's minds immediately go to like Ascended Master Metatron, Lord Metatron, Archangel Metatron. There's no connection here to those archetypes and consciousnesses. Metatronic, in the work that I do, very simply stated, means meta is above and beyond. Tron deals with mechanisms, let's just say machinery, mechanisms, and IC is a suffix that means pertaining to. So Metatronic means that pertaining to what is above and beyond the mechanized reality systems. That's very simply stated. There's more to it than that, but that's the easiest way to understand it. Okay, that which you humans call Gaia stone, along with emerald, are the first stones of the Metatronic. Gaia stone is possibly the more important of the two, if such can be said. Now, what they're saying here is that the Gaia stone, the Helenite, is actually preferred over what we know as emerald, the gem quality emerald. They can be interchangeable. They're basically doing the same work, but the preferred stone is Helenite. I will tell you, Helenite, true Helenite, is hard to find. I don't normally do this in the chats, but for those who are interested, if you're truly interested in a piece of Helenite, I do have Helenite. You can contact me privately. Okay. Gaia stone is possibly the more important of the two, if such can be said, because it first and foremost holds the frequency of the 777. Just as the Metatronic numerology I am keyword phrase denotes, it is I am the divine multidimensional alchemical synthesis of technology, biology, and spirit. This stone is representative of and holds the energy of the coming together of humanity, Gaia, and spirit. For it is created through the technology of humanity, from the biology of Gaia, through the direction of spirit. The earth story, let me explain what they're saying here. The earth story of this stone's birth is that after the eruption of the volcano of Mount St. Helens in 1980, that's where it gets its name, Helenite, okay? A welder there to do cleanup and salvage accidentally discovered then that when the intense fire from an acetylene torch hit certain points in the volcanic ash, it melted and created a beautiful clear green glass. Thus was birthed the Gaia stone, the sacred stone that brought to earth the first experience of the 777 frequency in the present projected time frame reality of its collective consciousness as did then exist in the fourth dimensional frequency reality. This initial 777 frequency gift of spirit to the collective consciousness of Earth and humanity occurred when Earth's and humanity's consciousness did exist in the fourth dimensional frequency reality plane 7 years and 62 days, or 2,617 days, prior to the completion of what is written in the stars and known as harmonic convergence. That point in cosmic time when humanity of Earth, as existed in that particular collective projected reality, did declare itself sufficiently awakened to participate in the creation of its perceived reality in conscious fashion. This stone will play a part in the expansion of consciousness of humanity, as well as in that of Gaia's. Okay. So, Helenite, also known as green obsidianite, also known as Gaia stone, but it is the Helenite created from Mount St. Helen, okay? There's other, we'll leave that there, okay. Then the other stones associated are emerald, okay? So in other words, if you cannot find Helenite, emerald works. Chrysolite, we've talked about chrysolite. You can go back into a couple other chats. It was the chat, ladies, Krones, help me here. The chat on, they're both going. All right. The chat, the 777, okay? The dragon stone, the September stone. All right, we'll find the dates on that. Can one of you please hunt that down for me real quick, please? Okay. The chrysolite is a little complicated stone. Don't get too, what you're looking for will be peridot or prehnite. Okay. Those both fall under the heading of chrysolite. Moldavite. Moldavite is not, you have to watch Moldavite if you're purchasing Moldavite because there's a lot of fake on the market. So please, and it's expensive, if you're going to be spending that kind of money, make sure you know that you can trust where you're getting it from. Also too, if Moldavite is not on the board for you, it can be, you can substitute shungite from Moldavite. All right. Carnelian is another stone. Granite, and then the metal of gold. That doesn't mean you have to go out and get a gold nugget, you know, a piece of gold jewelry, gold chain, you know, gold. You want that frequency of the metal gold, okay, is what we're looking for. Carnelian, I want to say a little bit about carnelian. Carnelian's a very powerful stone in this work with the emerald core, which may sound a little bit strange because it's an orange stone, but it's, what it brings is it purifies and sanctifies the physical body. Purify is to cleanse, just, you know, very simply stated. Sanctify is to charge or to raise the frequency. It makes things holy. I mean, these are terms to help us understand what we're talking about here, okay? Holy means to set apart from the low frequency of the mundane world, to exalt, to raise to a greater power, to hold in high regard. Holy means it's something that's been declared sacred. It's been consecrated. It means it's dedicated and committed. Catch that, Auri'An? Dedicated and committed. Okay. All right. I do believe we are now at the point. So like I said, I just wanted to share that sort of that basic information there about colors and stones. I will share the frequencies associated with this year's initial activation of the emerald core when we get closer in and ready to do the meditation. So now I'm going to turn this over to Krone Auri'An and allow her to share.
All right, just give me a sec. I went hunting to find the 777 and got totally lost. There we go. Okay.
I'm sorry about that. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, no worries. All right. I feel like I'm stepping out on a slightly different path. One filled with possibilities and probabilities and the unknown in a whopping huge barrel load of, oh my God, what have I let myself in for now? I know what my sacred contractual work is for this lifetime and beyond. And I also know that I'm at the very beginning of that work. Knowing what your sacred contractual work is doesn't mean that you're going to step straight into it. It doesn't mean that you're actually even going to fully know or understand what it will entail. Me, I'm currently riding through a sort of settling in period and have been for a few years now. It's a time of getting a better handle on what it's all about, and learning more about me, where I come from, the choices that I've made that's led me here. It's about understanding the world around me from a different perspective, thinking about the world I'd like to inhabit and the knowledge I'll need to build that world, to live there, and above all, how to do this work, however it develops, whenever it develops, if it develops. Because I also know that although it may happen in this lifetime, it may just as easily not happen. I'm planting seeds. I'm trusting that it will all work out as it's meant to, even though there's no guarantee. I've spoken before about my sacred contractual work and how within the Dragon's Gate in 2016, I was so upset because I'd been so sure that I was going home and I discovered I wasn't. At that time, even though I was very upset, distraught really, I made a commitment. In many ways, this was like signing a legal contract. And even though I didn't actually realize that for a couple of years because I was too wrapped up in being upset about not going home, my higher self recognized that this was the right path for me to follow. By that time, I'd already made 2 major commitments in my life. When I talk about major commitments, I'm talking about making a commitment way beyond what is asked of most people. We all make commitments to our partner, to our family, to work, and those commitments can last all your current life and be very important, or not. These commitments can come to an end or even be broken. But my path is asking that I make a deeper, more intense commitment to my spiritual work. The first was the one that totally changed my life when I had what I call my initial awakening experience. I'd spent 3.5 hours in the middle of the night, sitting in the rain, in the mud, in the middle of a field, literally experiencing that absolute feeling that we all strive for, that feeling of being one, of being Gaia, of being the Om in the universe, being the trees and the grass and the wind, and feeling the pain carried by all on this planet, especially the pain of our mother Gaia. I emerged from that experience with my life forever changed. I had made a major commitment to work to reduce that pain. Little less than a year later, Essence put out a post asking if anyone recognised themselves as first wave Blu-ray indigo. She was talking about me. She was talking to me. Yes, I know many other people felt that call and felt the same, but I knew it was directly to me. It was a lifeline. And a few months later, I became one of the admins of that Facebook group, and I started my journey with Essence as my teacher. As I gradually began to learn and to find my path, I found myself making another major commitment, one to the work that Essence is here to do. My belief in that work is absolute. My commitment to aiding with that work, wherever I am able, is not something I would ever even consider putting to one side. Yes, at some point we may travel in different directions, but I believe in the work that Essence is here to do. And believe me, there've been many times when I've questioned the stuff she comes out with and thought, well, Essence has really lost it now. Only to have something comes along that proves without a shadow of a doubt that this work is real. And so in this lifetime, I have made 3 major commitments. I've committed to following a spiritual path, to aiding Essence in her spiritual work, and in following my own sacred work. And none of these commitments are mutually exclusive. The commitments were all made at different times. We're not always recognized as commitments, at least not straight away. And they weave together in a way that I only really truly started to see and understand fully in the last 6 months. These commitments are connected. They are an integral part of the tapestry of my reality. You'll see the weavings, they're right there if you look. My work contains threads from Essence's work. I have little doubt that some of my threads are woven into Essence's tapestry, and it's just the same with Kobaha. These interweavings are what forms the group collective conscious mind that we Krones work within. Now, not everyone will be called upon to make such major commitments. Very few, I suspect. Such deep work is not something that everyone as an individual is actually meant to do. And that's fine, exactly as it should be. But we, the collective consciousness of humanity, are being asked to explore and understand our commitment. And that means you. You are an individual thread forming part of the collective consciousness of humanity, and you need to decide on your level of commitment. And why do we need to do it right now? Why do we need to decide? Just look around you. Almost everything that you see that's painful and wrong is the result of the energy of the 17.8 ATKI rising up to be released. Governments and corporations around the world making decisions that further their personal agendas rather than for the good of the collective consciousness of this planet, of Earth herself, not just humans. This is the energy of the 17.8 ATKI. We've talked about this for a few years, and now we're getting to see it in action. For years, we've gone with the love and light. We've sat on our energetic butts. We've followed what we're being told, whether it's from our lawmakers, our teachers, or the billboards on the side of a bus. We don't think of ourselves as sheeple, but we, as a collective, don't think for ourselves either, together, as a collective. We haven't made that commitment to change anything at a fundamental level. We've blindly accepted that we live in a male-dominated society, even as we tell ourselves that the divine feminine is rising. It's what we know. It's been that way for the last 6,000 plus years. We're programmed, genetically imprinted, and it needs to change. Now, I'm not asking that you go out and join in with the protests that are happening all over the world, unless that's where you're drawn. I'm not asking that you become militant in the need to change things. To my mind, that's a very masculine, traditional way of doing it, and is, long-term, not likely to succeed in any major way. Peace has never been the result or aim of violence. Remember, everything is energy, frequency. You cannot create a frequency of peace from a frequency of war. And I'm not asking that you put yourself on the front line unless that's where you feel your purpose is. What I am asking is for you to think about your commitment to whatever. Are you really committed to building a better place for our children's children? As I spoke of in, I think it was the last chat, to our children's children, to the 7th generation and beyond. We need to think that far. Or maybe you're happier, more comfortable, watching everything unfold, discussing stuff with friends, posting on Facebook. There's no judgment here. This is personal, individual work that we're all being called to do in order for the collective to start to really know itself. We need to look at self with honesty and open-mindedness, and not to judge yourself or anyone else if you discover that you don't hold any major commitments. To be quite honest, I don't think most people will hold major commitments. You are a single thread that forms the tapestry of all humans on this planet, and your thread is important. If you look at the tapestry on my wall behind me, there are threads in there that form the big picture, the background. There are threads that form the detail. There are 5 dancers that you can see. There is no one thread in there that is more important than another. In weaving, those threads are known as the weft. They go across the tapestry. Now think about the warp of the tapestry. They're the threads that run up and down the fabric and form the basis that the other threads, the weft, weave through. On the tightly woven tapestry, you don't see those warp threads at all. Not even if you look at the back of the work. But they are the threads that anchor the whole thing together. Without these, the picture can't be formed. These are the threads representative of the silent majority. These are the threads that hold the whole thing together and creates the reality of that tapestry, that creates our reality. These represent those who work within the power of silence. Those many, many people who simply get on with their daily life being the best person they can be. Silence is a powerful tool. It's potentially the most powerful tool. We have many silent workers. We all have our place and our job, and I'm asking you to work out what is your part in this tapestry at this point in linear time. Are you one of those so essential silent majority? Could you be one of the visible support workers? One of those threads that form the solid background? Or are you one of those shining bright threads that jumps out and says, I have information, I hold knowledge that can help bring your reality to a bright place? I'm asking that you sit down quietly, that you jot things down on a notepad, meditate, talk with your guides and higher self, whatever way feels right, and work out what you are most committed to. It may be that you're most committed to your family, I suspect that'll be right at the top of most people's commitments. Maybe your work or your health or pretty much anything, but whatever you feel the strongest commitment to, I'd like you to then take the next step and ask yourself, how important is that commitment to you? Don't just think, oh, it's very important. I want you to think deeper than that. I want you to think about how far you will go to protect those you're committed to, how much work you are willing to do, and what kind of work. That's important. What kind of work? How far are you willing to hold that commitment? Will you do the work you need to do to protect your unborn descendants? Once you've worked out your level of commitment, then you can look at the how you move forward. What form that work will take so that you can uphold that commitment. This, my friends, I can't help you with. It's something only you can know, the how of it. This is the bit that's often spirit guided. You need to recognize the guidance and choose to take up that work. And whatever that commitment level, whatever way you choose to work with that commitment, you have the opportunity to be doing your part towards making this reality in a place of peace and beauty. Think about how your work helps others. Maybe like that warp thread in a way that's unseen. For example, a school teacher allows a parent to go out to work and earn money that will help the family live in a better way. A garbage collector is a valuable and active part of maintaining the health of the community. Everything is valuable. I made my initial commitment to work towards reducing the pain that's felt on this planet. I'm not an upfront warrior. My best tools are my mind and my skills with words. Essence became my teacher to guide me in the deeper knowledge and understanding that I need for my work. She helps me to understand why it's sometimes necessary to move in what appears to be the wrong direction, and why sometimes you feel as if you're stagnating. My commitment to Essence and her work is a part of that initial commitment to mine. By learning and understanding, I can best do the work of helping to reduce the pain of this planet. And my commitment to my sacred contractual work, well, that's just another step in the process. Making a major commitment is not something to be undertaken lightly. It's not something you can pull on and off like a pair of socks. It sometimes involves losing friends, family, parts of yourself that you've carried for eons. Sometimes, often, it can mean getting out of bed in the middle of the night. We have someone with us tonight who got out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's commitment, because you're being called and the other members of your team might be working in a different time zone. But if you are someone who can make that commitment, well, the world, your world, doesn't necessarily become a better place. It can even get a bit more difficult, a lot more difficult at times. But when you make that commitment and uphold it, however hard it becomes, then you know why you're here. At least you get to see some of the picture. Right now, the collective consciousness of humanity is being tested. The 17.8 ATKI is a huge challenge that has been brewing for millennia. This is a long game, and it won't be resolved in this lifetime. How committed are you to doing the energetic work we need to do? Is your spiritual journey full and deep, or is it a sort of surface thing? Are you prepared to do the work even when you know that the results most likely won't be seen in your lifetime? That this is a long game. Remember, I thought I was going home when I went into that Dragon's Gate in 2016, and I was totally devastated to find out I wasn't. I laugh now, believe me, it wasn't funny then. I had been thinking of the short game, the human view of working in this one lifetime. But once I recognized, understood, and accepted that this will not be my only or my last lifetime, once I recognized that long game, I was able to relax and allow things to unfurl in their own time, to trust that it will be right It will all be right in the end. And a favourite phrase of mine I've used for many years is that if it's not all right, well, it's not the end. There's no wrong answer, there's no judgment. You are just being called to recognise as an individual thread of the collective consciousness of humanity, your commitment to humanity, to this planet, and especially to your spiritual journey through this lifetime reality and beyond. Gaia.
Thank you. Thank you, Krone Auri'An. That was
Time is 1:11. How about that?
perfect. It's absolutely perfect. That was amazing information and energy, and we're honored and grateful. Thank you. I feel now that I'm going to turn this directly over to Krone Kobaha and let her share. Ready?
So tonight, I'm going to talk more about helping the collective consciousness of humanity to get into higher frequencies. It's very much connected with the work we're going to do tonight on the Emerald Core. Today's first activation of the Emerald Core is associated with humanity's consciousness expansion process as it makes its journey into higher frequencies, opening in the 7th dimension. It's going to be a long journey. It reminds us that it is an important part of what is required of us now as a collective in being responsible for creating a new reality. So how do we contribute as individuals to the expansion process to help the collective consciousness of humanity to get into higher frequencies? The collective consciousness of humanity has entered the dark night of the soul. A purging process is needed. We need to address the shadow aspects we have on a personal and collective level. As Auri'An explained early on, we are not only called to heal ancestral patterns, but we are also called to release old soul stories and contracts from past lives. We are called to commit to this work. All the changes and uprisings that we are witnessing in the world are indicators of a shift in consciousness. These external stirrings are activating our personal shadows, reflecting the changes that must occur internally if we are to birth a new reality for the collective consciousness of humanity. Just we as individual consciousnesses have karmic imbalanced energy to rebalance and release, so too does the collective consciousness of humanity as the individual consciousness it is. We are now ready to begin taking on this collective karmic imbalance and rebalancing its effects as a collective. This work is part of fulfilling our primary purpose, which is the laying of the foundation for a new reality. Another part of the laying of the foundation for a new reality is about focusing our energy into the spiritual work in service to the collective consciousness of humanity. It is about knowing how to participate in the building of a sacred foundation upon which to create our new collective reality. It is about understanding that when we are in alignment with the work of the divine, we know on a deep level our individual purpose and the part we are here to play. Each of us has an assignment which represents the quiet dedication that is required to live a life of service. It is not easy to dream a new world into being while knowing deep down that we may not see the glorious end result. When we go as deep into the shadow, we feel a depth of soul, sense of presence and clarity of purpose like nothing we have ever experienced before. We have created room for light and life to take residence in our body and guide our direction into service. It is a different way of relating to the world, of living, such that we follow more, we listen more deeply and trust as we move forward along untraveled roads to where we are being called. By cleaning our inner house, we love more because we have learned to love the unlovable within. We give more because we are less afraid to show and give from our true self. We feel more joy, sadness, anger, fear, wonder because of years of setting all stuck emotions free. By doing shadow work, we shed the light on the dark and become the light instead of pretending. There is a point on our healing journey where we realize it is no longer personal. Our pain, the pain of our ancestry, is the pain of the world and vice versa. Our healing is of humanity. It is a collective pain and we are part of that collective. The one body of humanity we are part of. Healing then takes on a whole new purpose. We are reaching a boiling point where each of us must do the work of going within. Questioning ourselves, feeling, grieving, releasing, and recreating ourselves and the world anew. The work that some of us started a few weeks ago on strengthening the high heart chakra is very much connected on helping us not only to live our lives more in line with what our higher self desired for us, but also to help with tapping with the energy of balance. We need to balance our human self with our divine self. We need to, it is part of a process of letting go of our whole self and stepping into this newest version of who we really are, our true self. By activating this chakra, it can do wonders for your spiritual growth and development and effect change in your life in a profound. And don't forget that your work, your dedication will contribute to the creation of a new pattern that we as a collective consciousness of humanity are weaving together to create a new reality. We all have a part to play in the divine plan. It doesn't have to be on the world stage to be significant. One person's part is no worthier than another. No part is better or worth, more important or less significant. We cannot all have a starring role, but without those behind the scenes, quietly fitting the pieces together, the starring roles would not exist. Whether you help one person or 1 million people in this lifetime, you are just as important as anyone else. We each have within us a seed of light that we incarnated to share. Every minute we are alive, we are spreading seeds. Whether of light or the absence of light is up to us. I personally choose the light. Every smile we send, every healing, every energy exchange, every handshake, every uplifting post, no matter what kind of transaction with another person, we are spreading more seeds, enabling other people to then continue to sow. Spend time connecting with your higher self and contemplate what your part in the divine plan might be. We have been gathered to remember and surrender to our part of the plan. And the time is now. Thank you, Geshem. Over to you, Essence.
Wow. Thank you. That, once again, amazing information, wonderful energy. So grateful. Thank you very much. We're going to begin heading towards the work we came here to do this evening. I do have a bit more information to share. But as I share this last portion of information, I want you to be focusing on, at least subconsciously now, setting your intention that we are moving toward the work of doing the initial activation, what we came here to do together, what we were called together, the initial activation of the emerald core, to begin this process that will be felt across time, space, and dimensions, that opens us as the individuals we are and as the portions of the collective that we are to greater understanding and connection and communication with a wider expanse of reality. Remember what I said earlier about what the purpose of the Emerald Core is. I said its purpose is to assist Earth, the individualized consciousness known to humanity as Gaia, in raising her frequency to a more expanded consciousness frequency and form. And because we, humanity, are an intricately woven part of Earth's consciousness, we too benefit from working with the Emerald Core. Look at it this way. We, the collective consciousness of humanity, are intricately woven into the consciousness grid matrix of Gaia. For us to expand our consciousness, Gaia must expand her consciousness. And the reverse is also true. For Gaia to expand her consciousness, we must expand our consciousness. When a specific frequency is attained by Gaia, consciousness, her consciousness, with the assistance of humanity, not only humanity, but also with other portions of Earth's consciousness, including non-terrestrial portions of her consciousness grid matrix, Gaia will raise her frequency from what she currently holds and maintains. Currently, she maintains and has for eons of time, longer than humans have inhabited Earth, a 9 frequency with a 711 dual sub-frequency, which is a supporting frequency. This is the current lesson plan of Earth, you could say. This initial activation of the Emerald Core begins, remember, keyword here, begins, only begins, the process of Gaia, Earth, raising her frequency from this 9 frequency base with a 711 dual frequency supporting, okay, or sub-frequency, to an expanded frequency level. This new frequency is an 88 frequency base with an 1177 dual sub-frequency or supporting frequency. So if we even just look at the numbers here, because remember, numbers are nothing more than symbolically agreed upon representations of particular frequency bandwidths, let's call them, okay? Going from, Gaia is raising from 9 to 88 with 9 and that 711, okay, sub-frequency, which is the supporting frequency of the 9, to an 1177. Do you see this huge jump in frequency that we're talking about? Now, this is not overnight. This is not, will not even be completed in our single lifetimes, like I have said, and the other 2 Krones have shared in their amazing information that they have shared. This is the level of commitment that we, each of us individually, are being called to, that level of commitment that says, yeah, I'm going to do this work, even though I know that it will be lifetimes from now before even what we're doing here sees full fruition. This is an eternal journey. Okay? So just to give you an idea what this means, let me share the Metatronic numerology I am keyword phrases for these frequencies. I think that alone will help you understand this big jump. The 9 frequency. Okay, now remember, this is the current. This is what basically we could say Gaia has held as her frequency, her consciousness frequency, since before humans inhabited Earth. Okay, I am unconditional giving. What does Gaia do for us? What does she do? What does she do for every form of life that lives here on this planet, in this reality realm? She gives unconditionally. She is our mother, just like we're always saying, okay? The 9 frequency is about unconditional giving, and unconditional giving is giving to others without expectation of return. It's also about forgiveness of self and others. It teaches us we cannot create positive change or a peaceful reality while holding on to anger, resentment, pain, grief, judgment, and chastisement of self or others over what we perceive as past mistakes. This is what Krone was talking about, the shadow work that must be done, because we have to let go of that. The 9 frequency is also about completion, because the act of unconditional giving through forgiveness brings us to a stage of completion in our consciousness expansion journey. And once we reach this stage, it is a big step in our collective spiritual awakening and consciousness expansion process. We cannot move forward to exist fully and continuously in the higher frequency dimensions until this process is completed. Simply stated, this is us reaching the stage of oneness we're always talking about. Okay, so that's the base frequency of the current Earth lesson plan, let's say, okay? The 711 dual, now this one, okay, I think you all will recognize this. Its I am keyword phrase says, I am the truth of divine intelligence illumined through the spiritually awakened self. The 711 frequency is a very powerful frequency that lends assistance in going beyond the surface in looking at self. And self here not only means the individual persons we are, it also means the collective consciousness of humanity as the individual conscious self it is. The 711 dual frequency, this allows the ability to any longer ignore the truth of our reality and our individual portion of the responsibility for creating it. Look at what is currently going on. There is no way to ignore this anymore. This frequency combination can be stressful for those not comfortable with their self, their spirituality and spiritual beliefs, because it leaves no room for not taking seriously one's individual responsibility for their own spiritual growth and how it affects the collective consciousness of humanity and Earth. This frequency combination pushes us to take a long, hard look at self and demands we examine our life and belief system. It takes us beyond our comfort zone into what we consider our individual responsibility for self, especially as it pertains to being of assistance to the awakening and healing journey of the collective consciousness of humanity. So I think you can easily see how the reality humanity has been experiencing here on Earth for a very long time is created by these frequencies we're talking about that Gaia holds as her consciousness form. So where we're moving to, the new higher frequencies of Gaia. The 88, it says, I am the knowledge of sacred geometry and divine engineering. The 1177 dual says, I am cosmic truth illumined, accessible only through the synthesis of spiritual intuition and physical intelligence. As an example, as to what this movement into these higher frequency vibrational rate maintained for Gaia means for humanity, let me share this. Very simply stated, the 1177 dual frequency is a propulsion force. Now remember, this is the supporting frequency, okay? And the new higher frequency of the expanded consciousness of Gaia we're talking about. It's a propulsion force for the further awakening of our fuller divine self. Remember, our here, when I say our, I'm talking about not just us as the individual humans we are, but also as the consciousness of the collective. Here we find energetic assistance in melding our intuition, which means our spiritual reality mind, and our intelligence, which means our physical reality mind. When this occurs, we more easily and clearly access cosmic truth, cosmic knowledge, and the wisdom to use it correctly. Okay, the 88 frequency, right, deals with the study and knowledge of and working with sacred geometry. This includes all the different types of grid work we do. It's associated with using sacred geometry in conjunction with frequency in all of its forms. This includes sound, color, light, vibrations, etc., to create, build, and maintain our physical reality, and even reality beyond the physical realms as well. Remember, we're becoming multidimensional. We're getting ready to go galactic, and we're becoming multidimensional. Also associated with this frequency is the knowledge and information held within sacred sites around our planet, and the sacred geometric forms created by the configuration of their placement on the planet in relationship to each other. It also encompasses celestial sacred geometry, which includes knowledge of the sacred geometric grid patterns and the frequencies they create, maintain, and emit associated with our planet in relationship to placement and even distance to other planets and celestial bodies. This includes knowledge and working with the music of the spheres. So you see, within the energy field, the grid matrix of this new higher vibrational rate that will eventually be held and maintained by Gaia, the entire lesson plan of Earth changes. It changes from one of learning how to get along with each other and learning to be responsible co-creators of our collective reality to learning exactly how to create reality and actually being fully responsible for our conscious creation at the level we are capable of. This pathway will expand the level of knowledge in our sciences, including quantum physics and metaphysics, beyond anything we can currently even comprehend. And yes, quantum physics and metaphysics are intertwined intricately. This is the type of knowledge and the level of responsibility that will take us into peaceful galactic interaction as a species. We have this opportunity presenting itself to us. Are we going to take full advantage of it? I hope so. I want it also to be noted here that with this movement, this expansion of consciousness, of the consciousness of Gaia, from the Earth human perspective, okay, the spelling of the name Gaia goes from G-A-I-A to G-A-Y-A. Does the spelling matter? Yes, it does. It matters because it emits particular frequencies. So in other words, even that small thing that we all can do right now in changing the way that we share, okay, just like Kabaha was talking about, when we share, okay, we're moving energy, all right? So even that small change from G-A-I-A to G-A-Y-A is going to be of assistance to what we're here to do. So what does this all mean for us, for humanity? It means, as we finish our collective walk within the Earth lesson plan Gaia has been offering us, we take the growth, the maturity we gain and attain as a collective, as a human species, and we come to embody it as a collective mind. In so doing, we, humanity, step up and play our part. We take on a new level of responsibility of first co-creating our human earth reality in a conscious form. And this brings us to a level of maturity in intelligence, in physicality, in spirituality, that takes us into creating a global society of equality and peace. This rebalances our relationship with ourself, our collective self, and with each other. Then, it is then and only then that we can and will move out into galactic interaction in a conscious and peaceful way. Right now, we, humanity, sit on a point we can call the edge of time. What do I mean by this? We as a species, as a global society, as a collective mind, sit at a juncture point on our evolutionary process, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, in every way, where we are preparing to begin moving out into galactic interaction. Remember, I keep saying 2020 is the year humanity goes galactic. This means we have a choice to make. Do we move into galactic interaction as a warring species or as a peaceful species? We do have a choice, but just as with everything else, choices have repercussions and consequences. We either move out into galactic interaction in a reality system with other warring species, continuing what we have been doing here on Earth for a very long time, or we move into galactic interaction as a peaceful species, which will energetically place us in a vibrational reality field that allows us to explore, learn, grow, and continue our collective expansion of consciousness. Believe it or not, we have moved out into galactic interaction as a warring species before. Where do you think all the stories of galactic battles in our current reality come from? Remember, every choice, every decision has repercussions and consequences. Those repercussions and consequences of galactic warring brought humanity to the edge of extinction before. That is what created we will call it, the Great Galactic Fall for humanity. Stated extremely simply, humanity lost the Great Galactic War it was in. This brought us to the very edge of complete annihilation as a species, and we fell into dense consciousness so far that we had to begin anew the evolution of our collective conscious expansion journey. It has been said that we have done this at least 4 times prior by the cultures, the indigenous cultures of this planet. It is said we have done this at least 4 times prior. Shall we repeat this? Or shall we step up? Take on the level of responsibility we must in order to make a better collective decision and choice this time. Remember, this universe, this journey of expansion, this evolution of consciousness is eternal. In the big picture, it matters not to the universal one consciousness if we fail or succeed in this illusionary reality system experience, for every experience facilitates the expansion of universal consciousness. We, humanity, are but one fractal spark of the universal mind experiencing itself in order to know itself and expand its consciousness. But as humans, as humanity, as the individualized consciousnesses we are individually and collectively, it matters to us. And it should. So let us do the sacred work we came to do in this moment, on this most sacred of journeys, across what we experience as time and space in this reality we call life on earth. Let us know ourselves. Let us know each other. Let us know Gaia. With that, I would like for us to move into the work we came to do. To be conscious and intentional participants in the initial activation of the initial activation stage of the Emerald Core. As we move into our meditation, I'd like for everyone to just find a comfortable position. I myself am going to turn some lights down because that's the way I prefer to work. So just find a comfortable position for yourself. Get ready. To move into the work of the initial activation of the Emerald Core, I'm going to read the 4 frequency I am keyword phrases associated with this initial activation. They are, just for the record, and I will share this later where you can find this information in writing if you prefer, if you'd like to have it. But they are the 711 dual frequency, the 7111 dual frequency, which would be the main frequency, the 88 frequency, the 844 dual, and the 722 dual. I'll be reading those to move us in to the space for this work. I'm not going to read the numbers. I'm simply going to read the I am keyword phrases. So if everyone will take a deep breath, center themselves, prepare for this journey. I am the knowledge and wisdom found within self, necessary to unlock in order to set the multidimensional reality realm free experience in motion. I am the knowledge of sacred geometry and divine engineering. I am a channel of the divine metamorphosis required to create a secure physical reality obtained only through the mastery of wielding structured power. I am the intelligence of self indwelling in self. I possess the vision of spirit through which knowledge of the building of sacred structures is known. Kara unsche prana. I am the ancient future breath of life. Kara unsche prana. Kara unche. Nagian. Janehega huakai ani. I am the ancient future immortal birthing, the genesis of sacred lands. Would like for each of you to visualize and experience, to consciously and intentionally create and expand your personal energy field. To allow the luminous energetic form of which you are to expand and to rise. Kara unche prana. As we rise in consciousness, allowing ourselves to become free, energetic consciousness. I would like for us to meet energetic form in the center of the circle we have created by our coming together. As we meet, we begin melding into one. We become one beautiful, energetic, opalescent sphere of consciousness. Know that there is no danger. There is no possibility of losing self. For once something exists, it shall always exist. Simply experience the truer form of who and what you are. A returning home, a taste of the returning home, the connection where all is known, all is love, all is beauty, the universal one conscious mind, simply experiencing itself as individualized forms of consciousness. Here, within this beautiful opaline sphere of consciousness we have created by combining our consciousness as one, there is no you and I, no more they and them, no more lesser than or greater than. Here, there is only us. Here, there is only I am. I am. Here, our conscious collective journey as the Unche, Anapa'u Nagi'an, the ancient future transitioning immortals, begins and ends and is eternal. We now become I am. And in this moment, the I am of this consciousness finds itself, finds ourself. I find myself moving into the very center of the emerald core that is seated at the center of Gaia's heart, the center of the planet Earth. And as the I am consciousness that we are coming together has created, seated within the very center of the emerald core, we become the seed of what we'll become, the seed that will, across time and space, dimensional realities, sprout into new collective reality experiences. We're going to stay here for just a moment and experience this beautiful oneness. Take the time to know thyself, to know each other, to know Gaia, to know why we are here. There was a moment in time, a point in space, where existence moved into form. This is that point. Know thy abilities. Know thy power. Know thyself. Create. For you are ancient. For I am ancient. And yet, future. I am that which is known as the ancient future, universal oneness. Thank you, each of you, for being a part of this sacred work, this journey. Please begin your journey back into your individualized form and consciousness as a human that you currently exist as. We will end the sacred work in silence. I would like to let everyone know that we will stay on after we finish this recording for this work so that you may share if you like. But we are going to move out from here in silence. I would ask the other two Krones to say their simple goodbyes and thank yous.
Thank you. I'm just trying to come out. I'm not quite there yet. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I really hope the information we shared with you has been useful and you resonated with that information. I just wanted to remind to the people who join us for the first time tonight, I mentioned tonight again about the work on the high heart chakra. If you are interested to do the work with us, you're welcome to join our group, the International Coalition of Krones. You'll find information there, a video I've made a few weeks back. And of course, you're welcome to join the group if you feel you are interested to do this type of work. So thank you again for joining us. Gashem.
Thank you for joining us. I too am slowly coming back into my human form. The brain's lagging. Thank you for joining us. I think Kobaha said everything. There's nothing really more to add to that, but I honor you all. Thank you. Gashi.
Thank you. We're truly honored by each individual here this evening and who will join us in time and space. In no time, no space, excuse me. So let's come together one last time energetically as we continue making our journey back into our physical forms, and we will move out of this work in silence. Kara und che prana. I am the ancient future breath of life. Kara und che prana. Kara und che prana.